Probably say, hey, we
Hey, we
need you to
need
fill,
somebody.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people would assume that, right?
yeah.
Mike's on.
No, they just assumed that I wasn't here.
The Gun Barrel City Board of Adjustment will meet in regular meeting in City Hall Council Chambers located at 1716 West Main Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, on Thursday, August 1st, 2024 at 2 p.m. Call to order. Roll call for my left.
Linda Tracy here.
Sikora here.
Mullins here.
Coleman here.
Eric Gore here?
We have a quorum. It takes 4 affirmative votes in order for a variance to be granted. If a variance is denied, the only course of action for the requestor is to file an appeal in the Henderson County District Court. 1, new business. 1A, consider take action to approve the minutes of the June 21st, 2024 Board of Adjustment meeting. Can I get a motion?
I'll give a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Vote for my right.
Approve? Yes?
Coleman, yes.
Mullins, yes.
Sikora, yes.
Tracy, yes.
1B, consider approving the request for Larry and Katie Holland for a variance of section 156.033C1G, single-family detached residential district R4 of the Gun Barrel City Revised Codes of Ordinances, resulting in a 1,752 square foot accessory building involving Lot 2 of the Holland Addition, located at 331 Harbor Point Road, Gun Barrel City, Texas, 75156. Brooke?
So today we have an application from Larry and Katie Holland with 331 Harbor Point Road. They're requesting a variance from the requirement outlined in section 156.033.C.1 of the revised code of ordinances. Notices were sent to the property owner within 200 feet of the subject property on July 19th, 2024. And the details of the variance were published in the Monitor, the official newspaper, on the 18th, and was placed on the BOA's agenda for August 1st. This is the 200-foot boundary. I sent a total of 3 letters and received 0 letters in response. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. You have 1 letter in your packet. That was a change, sorry. In 156, it specifically outlines that the accessory structure shall not exceed 50% of the interior square footage of the principal structure. The principal structure in question is 2,451 square feet. As the code states, no single accessory structure can be larger than 50% of the primary structure. So on this property's case, no accessory structure can be larger than 1,225.5 square feet. This is, go back on that one, Janet, please, thank you. This is a copy of the survey of the property and the site plan of the 2 additional carports that the applicant has proposed to place on either side of the existing shop or garage. Since the applicant desires to connect the 2 carports, which total 672 square feet to the existing shop, the addition will put the overall square footage of the accessory structure to 1,760 square feet, which is 534.5 square feet over the total allowed square footage of any one accessory structure. The subject property is located at 331, and the variance is to allow the 534 square feet overage. These are some pictures of the property. I went and visited it. This is the shop that the variance is applying to. This is the existing, and they're wanting to place carports on this side as well as the opposite side, which is also has garage doors. One more forward, this side as well for the carports. Okay. I added this in. I just wanted to do an explanation of the hardship. The applicant must demonstrate to the board how the hardship for which the variance is requested is unique to the property. Hardship should be specific to the property for which the variance is being requested. For example, topography, lot configuration, or any physical constraint that would limit the placement of the structure or prevent compliance with required site development regulations. A strictly financial or personal reason is not a valid hardship. Applicants must demonstrate to the board why the hardship is not general to the area in which the property is located, and they must describe how the hardship relating to the site is different from other properties in this area. With that, we have, in our application, we ask for 8 different criteria to be met, and these are those 8. There are no limitations for the first one, there is no limitations on the use of the property. However, on the second one, the granting of the variance will be granting special privilege to the property owner. On the next 2, the applicant cannot demonstrate that without a variance there can be no reasonable use of the property. The request is simply to add on to an existing accessory structure. But the granting of the variance would not be based on economic reasons. The next 2, so the need for the variance is created by the property owner. The property owner is going to be adding on to an existing structure, and the minimum variance, for the next question, I guess yes. The variance requested is the minimum variance necessary by the homeowner, but there is not a limit on the number of accessory structures, just the size of one accessory structure and how much they can cover of their lot. These carports could stand alone, not attached to the existing one, and meet all requirements. The next one, it would not be injurious to public health, safety, or welfare, but this property does not possess one or more of the unique characteristics not applicable to similar situated properties. The applicant is here today, and if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them, or if you have questions for the property owner as well.
Anybody have any questions for Brooke? No?
No.
You have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I've got, where is the applicant?
Right.
Okay, so it looks like the easy answer is just to make the carport stand alone. I'm not sure why we're not thinking about that.
That was stated in her.
Right, but that's not, the request is for a variance, and they don't need a variance if they do it the other way.
Right.
So,
Yes, sir. If your question is, why do I want it attached to the
Right.
existing structure as opposed to just putting 2 additional carports there?
right,
And the biggest reason is that, as I understand it, that I could have the carports very close to the existing building as
5 feet.
in touch. Is that correct?
It's got to be separated by 5 feet.
Oh, you gotta have 5 foot, okay. So that's 5 foot. So in other words, when I pull under there to park, if it's raining or anything like that, if I go into my building, you see what's gonna happen. And so it just makes sense to me that if I'm going to have a carport there, that it would be attached to my building. Aesthetically, it's going to look better, and environmentally, it would be better on us. One of the questions came up was, well, why don't you just put the carport on another part of your property, you know? One of the things there is we live on Harbor Point Road, and you're familiar with that area. It's very busy up and down the road. And when we were building our home there a little over a year ago, we had a theft problem with people coming in and stealing things, you know, out of our garage as we were building it. And one of the most unique things that happened to us is I run a landscape company here, and we was putting in our yard our sod. And late that night, someone decided that that sod looked real good, so they came in and they stole it.
Oh, my goodness.
So I really don't want to park my equipment and those things, you know, towards the front of the property. And I've invested a good deal of money in the building that we have. We've lined it with our Austin stone the same way we did our house. We intend to do the same thing with our carport. So for those reasons, I'd like to request approval for you to go ahead and let me attach the carports to the existing building. It's there. Structurally, I think they would be more sound if it's all one unit too, as opposed to having 3 separate buildings in the backyard.
Do anybody else have any questions?
That was good.
Okay. 1B, consider approving the request from Larry and Katie Holland for a variance, section 156.033.C.1.G, single-family detached residential district, R4 of the Gun Barrel City Revised Code of Ordinance, resulting in a 1,752 square foot accessory building involving Lot 2 of the Holland Addition, located at 331 Harbor Point Road, Gun Barrel City, Texas 75156. Can I have a motion?
I move that we consider the motion as just read.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Vote from my right.
Approve it. Coleman, yes.
Mullins, no.
Sikora, no.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Fails. We don't have 4 affirmative. Yes.
Just one.
Okay.
Chairman, we will need if that motion did not pass, we will need another motion and an affirmative vote for that motion to pass. So we will need someone, if you want to deny the motion, we will need a motion to deny the request and state the reason why. If the reason is you could build this same thing standing independently and not need a variance, you can put that in there. But because this would have to be appealed to the court, we do have to have a motion to deny the request and then a majority vote yes to deny, so.
So a question for you, what happens if you don't get a majority vote denying the request?
Yeah.
You can make the motion.
Okay,
Sorry, y'all. That's the first time we've
Can I
had one
make a
denied, so
motion
this is
that
new.
We reopen 1B and have a dialogue on 1B?
Well, you had your chance for a dialogue on 1B.
Well, otherwise, if we vote the way we just voted and we say we don't agree to deny it, then we're hung, right? There's no resolution. Well, but if we vote the same way again, then it's not gonna pass, and it's not, we're not gonna accept it not passing. And I thought maybe having a dialogue, we could persuade members one way or the other, is why I asked if we could have additional dialogue.
Okay, so we need another motion in order to have the dialogue, though.
I would that you could open it up for conversation and then take another motion.
Okay,
So, so do we need to make a motion for that, or can we just have a conversation? Right, well, I mean, it's a little informal, but we're a small town, and I think coming to the right decision is the most important. Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to share with,
I'm really
I wanted to
sorry.
share with everyone why I voted to approve it. And I understand that things are black and white, and I look at this board as very few times allowing a shade of gray, which is, okay, it doesn't meet it, but should we allow it? And if you look at the person's property, I mean, he takes care of his property, it's new, it looks nice, and aesthetically, having detached carports are not gonna look as good as having it detached as one structure. So the reason why I voted for it is I think he's been very reasonable, he's invested a lot in the property, it looks great, it will look better with them attached than not attached, and it could be approved if they were detached. So it seems like we're being very black and white versus, you know what, this is one of those cases where we should approve it. And I just wanted to share that with the rest of you for approving
For
it.
the same reason, but also because of the property line, it even met the property lines. You know, you have to build 5 feet away from.
That didn't have anything to do with it. The government code says we must meet all 8. That's the reason why I said no. I mean, I think it's a great idea, and I'd love to see them do it, but the government code says that we have to make it meet all 8 items, and we can't.
But this board is for exceptions.
No, it is not.
I disagree. I think there's black and white and there are shades of gray, and if the board's only here to rubber stamp it, why do we even have this meeting? Because it didn't meet it coming in, the other one doesn't meet it coming in, so why do we ever meet? If you're gonna
Because
say-
they're asking for it. You're right, it didn't meet it when it came in, but that, you can't say you can't ask for it, and they're asking for it.
I agree with the approval direction based on the comment from the citizen. The only concern I had was, is there a safety concern? Then there's no safety concern. He's gone a long way toward the aesthetic design of his property, and for that reason, I agree with my gentleman to my left, that this board really needs to take a look at how gray situations exist, and in this case, that was the reason that I voted to approve it.
And it can be built away from it and still have all the fanciness to it. That makes sense? Because it's 5 feet from.
He's not asking for the 5 feet, though. He's asking to build
Well,
it right up
I
against.
think what, and I don't mean to speak for you, but I think what you're saying is he can build this thing 5 feet away,
Right.
right? So it's not like he's asking for something that he couldn't put there anyway. He's just asking for it to be attached so that it's more useful, so it's more structurally sound,
Right, but
and it's
still
more
obtained by the-
aesthetically pleasing.
But to
seems
still
like a
get
very
to the
reasonable request.
code, he could still do the fancy carport and be off the building 5 foot.
He could. That's not what he's asking for.
If we don't have the leeway to make a request approval for a situation that's not black and white, then what are we doing here?
You're verifying that it meets all the requirements.
I mean, anybody can read.
True.
The inspector can read.
Board members.
Well, I go back to, in our prior meeting, we had a situation in your neighborhood in Loon Bay. He didn't meet the setback requirements, but yet we approved that.
Because he could, that was his lot, he wasn't able to build on it.
But he didn't create that situation, and he bought the house there.
Correct. But that met the requirements, all 8 of them.
So I have our attorney, our city attorney on speed dial, and he definitely answers me on a Friday afternoon. I did clarify with him, when you have a motion and that motion does not get 4 affirmative votes, it is considered a denied request. So there is no reason to do that, but this is all very, very good conversation that this board can have on every single item before we take a vote.
Okay.
So if you make the motion to consider the request and the request is not approved by 4 or more members, it is considered denied. And if the chair could provide a reason for that denial, that suffices. If you vote no, if you could just tell why you're voting no when you vote for future reference. We have another case today, so if you vote no, if you could explain why you voted no, then that will suffice for the district of court where this goes next, so.
Well, thank you, Angie. Actually, that makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, you can be hung up, and that's.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, then you're going to vote again, and then, so the answer is, if there is a motion to consider and you don't have 4 yeses, it is considered a denial. He did say, please state when you say, I deny this, why you deny this. Sorry to throw the train off the track.
No, thank you. We're all learning here, right?
Yeah. Could I interject?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I understood you right, you said that I would have to meet all 8 of whatever the conditions were, and I did not meet all 8. And if that's impossible to do, to meet all 8, then,
It's not, though.
well, so which one of the conditions did I fail to meet? If you could tell me that.
The maximum square footage of the accessory building.
Okay, but if I can't do it, absolutely you cannot do it, then it seems to me that, you know, I kind of wasted your time, and I wasted my money, and I wasted my time, you know, coming before the board. And I thought the board had the authority to look at a case and then make a determination based on the facts that were presented in order to either vote yes or no. But if what I hear you saying is that that's not the case. The case is that you're going to have to meet all 8. And if one of those particular 8 is impossible to meet, then there's really no reason for me either being here today or for you even hearing this case.
Well, we
I would-
have situations where you actually have a piece of property that you cannot meet one of those. And that is the reason we're here, is to be able, because that's one of the things that you have to look at, is is the property usable?
But if it's impossible for me to do it, why would it even be considered? And that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean,
with
that's
this.
kind of your decision.
Well,
If you read all the stuff and you answer all the questions and you don't all have all the right answers, then if you still want to come in front of the board, you're welcome to do it. We can't tell you no.
yes, and I respect what you're saying. I guess, and I'll take responsibility for myself, but the way I read it and the way I understood it is that no, you don't meet all of these requirements. However, you can appeal it to the zoning board and, you know, take your chances. Well, I don't even have a chance. I mean, that's kind of the issue that I'm stumbling over here, is that if I go into a fight and I know I've got a chance, then I don't mind, you know, bearing arms and doing all the things that I need to do, showing the picture, spending the money, trying to maintain a property to every standard. I mean, if you talk to Shannon that's here, there is nothing that I've ever done there that I did not come before and say, tell me what I need in order to do this, because I want the permits, I want to do whatever's right. If I would have known ahead of time that, Larry, you're barking up a tree that's not there, this board, this zoning board cannot approve it, period.
We
And I
just have to verify that you meet.
I would have never applied.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, but
Understand.
I did not know. And apparently some on your own board were maybe a little bit unsure as to whether or not they had the right to vote on something in a way that sounded reasonable, but yet to find out that there's 8 of these things that you've got to do to get it approved. And for me, I just.
And that's the way
I
the application is
respectfully-
laid out.
I respectfully disagree, but I'll leave it at
Okay.
that. So, yes, ma'am.
City
I
manager?
would just like to make a couple of comments. These 8 questions really set the guideline over determining if this is a hardship or not. I wouldn't argue every single one has to be, yes, that's a hardship. Hardships come in varying degrees, right? Which is why there's 8 different questions. Is there 8 total? I'll keep
Yes.
throwing around 8. I haven't counted them. Which is why there are 8 places for an applicant to make a comment on their application of, you know, did the property owner create this? Is there a safety hazard? Are they doing too much lot coverage? There's a number of different criteria that come into this. And this is just one, right, where there is an opportunity for this homeowner to separate it out 5 foot on each end and build the same exact thing. We have to remember always, as a BOA, when we give a variance to a property owner, we are setting a new standard, unfortunately, right? How can we give property owner A a variance and not give property owner B next door that exact same variance? Well, we set codes and our code of ordinances for a reason, right? To establish what neighborhoods look like as a whole. That is what these 8 questions do. These 8 questions just determine, is there a true hardship for this property owner, or are there other alternatives? Does that make sense? So I missed part of that conversation. I apologize. I wanted to get clarification, more importantly, on the motion and the vote. So.
Well, really, there's
but
no difference.
I'm happy to speak to the property owner after the meeting if you would like, but y'all can move on. to
There's really no difference in what you just said and what we're looking at.
So Angie, the city controls those 8 questions, right?
No, the
Sorry?
local government code
The
does.
local government code, or does the city have flexibility on the questions?
That is a
And
good
let me
question.
just throw out the reason why
I am almost positive those come from your local government code
Yes, they
and
do.
how you form a
221.
hardship. The hardship being the very critical element, and that is defined by your Texas local government code.
So is there no way, because in my opinion on this, what's best for the homeowner and is best for the city is to allow this? So my question would be, so when I say that, it will look better, it'll be more structurally sound, it won't take up as much, I'll call it, aesthetic as much of the lot as it would if it were separated. It just seems like there's a lot of good reasons to approve, and I hear what Marty's saying is, we can approve it. I'm just saying that as we move forward, there sure seems to be, there should be some way where common sense should prevail, and we should be able to approve it. And I know we're not gonna solve that today.
Yeah,
I'd be
and-
happy to work offline.
I just would argue, my only argument to that as your city manager, and again, this is my opinion, I also don't set code, right? So our city council does that. The role of the Board of Adjustments is very, very specific. It isn't to decide if it's okay, it is to decide if they have a hardship that requires you breaking one of our city rules to allow them to do it, right?
Right.
It's very specific in Texas local government code. And this homeowner, due to limitations on their property for one reason or another, prove they have a hardship that requires them to basically break a law. Same concept, not that serious, right? But it's the same concept. The ordinances are set by city council to provide the guidelines, in this case, of buildings. Does a homeowner have a hardship that requires them to break that ordinance? That's really what the BOA does.
Right.
Because,
But all I'm suggesting is there ought to be a way of, and I hear what you're saying, that if it's good for the city and it's good for the homeowner, there should be some mechanism to where that can happen. And
That
what
could
I'm
be
hearing you
done
say is
through-
there really is.
it's difficult because the ordinances are set
Yeah,
by
so
planning
you'd
and
have
zoning
to
and by
do it-
city
You would have to
council,
do
yeah.
it through an ordinance. You'd have to make an ordinance.
That's
That
what
would
you would do,
provide
is approach your city council member and ask to amend an ordinance, and then we
Yep.
amend it for everybody, and, so but that's really BOA's role is,
Well, thank you for the education. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you.
I just wanted to add too that, when people come, we always, the inclination is to want to help people, right? And I really respect you. I respect you have a business you're trying to run and all that. People come in and ask for exceptions. That's all they ask us for. You know, some of them are flagrant, like you just really can't do it without just throwing out your whole city code, and some of them are kind of minor. But even while I think yours is kind of minor, I think that yours is easily remedied. I think you can still get what you need and still follow code. And as Angie was saying, if your neighbor comes in next month and has the same thing, then suddenly we're not just allowing an exception, we've changed the building code, and that is, you know, that's a little bit more of a serious step for us to take. So, I want to say I really hope you find a good solution, but I think you've got easy solutions within the current code. So, sorry.
Go to the next one? All right,
If we
sorry.
could move to the next item, that'd be awesome. Staff is happy to visit it with the resident offline if needed.
Okay. Larry, just talk to them. Talk to them after the meeting if you want to have further discussion. Well, that's the thing is, we are dictated by the local government code, like our city manager said, that we have to determine if there's a hardship. Because you want to is not a hardship. But it's not enclosed space. Then we need to change the ordinance. Then we need to change the ordinance.
Chair,
I'm
we have to
sorry.
have these conversations before you vote. So if we could please move to the next item.
Okay. 1C, consider approving a request from Wesley Robinson for a variance of section 156.035.E.2.B, single-family detached residential district, R6A, B, C, and D of the Gun Barrel City Revised Code of Ordinances, resulting in a 2,780 square foot accessory structure involving Lot 137R of the Tamarack subdivision located at 109 Bayview, Gun Barrel City, Texas, 75156. Brooke.
Okay. For the timeline of events, we've received an application for this variance request from Mr. Robinson. The letters were sent on July 19th for the properties within 200 feet and published in the newspaper on July 18th and then placed on this agenda for the August 1st meeting. This is the 200-foot boundary. I sent 28 letters for this one and received 0 in response. In 156.035 ETB, this is again the same or similar in a different section in our code. It specifically outlines that accessory structures shall not exceed 50% of the interior square footage of the principal structure. In this property's case, the principal structure is 1,902 square feet. As code states, no single accessory structure can be larger than 50% of the principal structure. In this property's case, the primary structure again is 1902, and no single accessory structure can be larger than 951 square feet. This is a copy of the survey of the property as it currently sits and the site plan of the accessory structure that the applicant has proposed to place on this lot. Since the applicant desires to construct a 2,780 square feet accessory structure, this is 1,829 square feet over the total allowed square footage for any one accessory structure. The applicant is seeking a variance, asking that the construction of the accessory structure be allowed with the 1,829 square foot overage. This is some images of the property. And then on the next slide, this is an existing concrete pad that the applicant has indicated that he wants to place the building on top of. And then this is just more street view of that entire lot. Again, we kind of hashed out the hardship thing, but There are no limitations on the use of this property. However, granting of the variance will grant special privilege to the property owner. The applicant cannot demonstrate that without a variance, there can be no reasonable use of the property, and but the granting of the variance would not be based on economic reasons. The next one, the necessity for the variance is created by the property owner, and the property owner is wanting to add an accessory structure. And yes, the variance requested is the minimum variance necessary by the homeowner. However, there is not a limit on the number of accessory structures, just the size of one and lot coverage. The applicant could construct a smaller accessory structure. The granting of the variance will not be injurious to public health, safety, or welfare, and the property possesses no unique characteristics not applicable to similar situated properties. It does have dual frontages due to the situation of the streets as seen on the survey. But it does meet all of its setbacks too, so.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Brooke?
Brooke, just a thing, and I know it's not in the process today of contacting POAs. I'd like to just suggest that when one of these happens, that the POA, if it happens to be in a POA, if it's Loon Bay or Harbor, whichever, that they get a copy so that they're aware of something before that. No, but the packet that gets mailed out, the letter of notification, so that the POAs, I'm just saying that.
Like
I
sending
know
a
there have been
letter.
others where the POAs weren't aware of it. I'm just saying it would be nice to have the POA copied on it.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Robinson? You had any questions that you?
First, I want to tell y'all a little something about me, okay? I'm 43 years old. I moved in Tamarack 23 years old. I bought an old crappy trailer house. If you go back to your pictures, if you go back to a couple of them pictures back there for me, who can do that? That house right there, that carport right there, I started in 2015. It took me about 5 years to build them. If anybody that drove by there, they know what I've done to that property. If you click through another picture where that slab's at, there you go. Okay, that property right there used to have an old ragged out trailer house on it, crackheads in and out of it. I finally tracked the man down. I purchased the property back 2012, 2013, tore the trailer house down. As soon as I bought it, it was an empty lot, made it an empty lot because I wanted to build me a building. I wanted to build me what I want, a home. You follow me? Now, when I built that house right there, I wasn't doing as good as I am today. It took me a while, didn't have the funds. In time, I do want to tear that house down and build me a house that I'm proud of. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my house. It took me a long time to do it. Very proud of it. But I want to build me a home that's big enough, not only big enough that brings my whole family for Christmases and all that, which I got now, but I did a little bit bigger in time. I can't afford that right now. If I could afford me an 8,000 square foot house right there right now, it'd already be there. We wouldn't have this conversation. All right? I can't afford that house. I can't afford a building right now. You see the arrow point down that concrete slab? That concrete slab was permitted, approved as a building. No, the city knew that I was putting a building on that slab the day that I got that concrete approved. Granted, I told them, don't get me wrong, I wrote on paper it's going to be a building in time. But for now, we're going to call it a basketball court because I had to get a permit. Everybody knew there was a building going there. Everybody knew what size that was. They granted my permit. I come up here to get the building taken care of, and that's when I found this out. All right? Granted, yeah, I probably should have read through this, read through that, whatever. So, can I build 2 different buildings? Hell, I can build 10 different buildings. I got enough property right there to build 10 separate buildings at 900 square foot. You follow me? But I don't want to do that. I want my property to be manageable. I need my front yard right there to where I can put sprinkler system, make my front yard as pretty as Pinnacle Club. I mean, honestly, guys, that's pretty much live over there. All right? So, in time, I want to make my yard and my property. You see the fence I put up. If you've seen the fence I put up before that one was up, you know what I'm talking about, just a little piece every day. I told the code enforcement of Gunbarrel City one time, if you'll leave me alone, I'll show you where I'm going. And I'll tell you guys the same thing. You leave me alone, I'll show you where I'm going. All right? I understand that there's a variance, but there's a reason for this meeting right here, and that's for y'all to oversee the variance, oversee the codes. Y'all are supposed to vote whether it's allowed to be overseen or not me. I'm just paid the $300. I hope that you say yes, okay? Again, I'll go back to the city approved that building, but the city approved that concrete. And then when I went to build a building 8 months later, that's $22,000 in concrete, guys. You understand me? I could have easily built 2 different concrete slabs, easily. It would have been no big deal at the time. But that's not what I was told. It's not what I heard. They did not approve just concrete. They approved knowing it was a building. The building itself will be gray to match my house. It will be exactly the same color as my house with the white trim. Half this building is, yes, personal use. Well, it's all personal use. Half this building will, yes, be my man cave, my time away from inside that household. The other side of that building will be my shop, which, if you know me, I own Rock and R Construction. I've got trucks, I've got trailers, you see the motorhome. I need a place to put the motorhome. I'm backing it up in that 14-foot building right there, 14-foot door. That's where that motorhome's gonna stay. You see my boats, man, my boat's broke down. I need a place to put it in there. I mean, it's actually broke down right now, but I need a place to put it in there and fix it and work on it. I need my own personal space, my own personal shop. Agree that, yes, your variance or whatever it is, your code says that, I can't build one more than 900 square foot. And I respect it to the fact that why did they let me pour my damn slab and spend $22,000 on a slab when really I probably could have spent 16 and built 2 different slabs. So I'm asking y'all to oversee that variance and give me my hardship because it's already been approved, the building. Now I got this building. What do I do? Cut the slab in half, cut 5 foot, 6 foot out of the middle of the slab and build 2 different buildings? I mean, what am I doing here? And just like this gentleman said a while ago, it's y'all's job to oversee these variants and to approve these hardships. That's what y'all do. You don't understand, y'all say no because, well, it says in the code book the answer is no. Well, that's why we're here. We're here so y'all can change that idea, to change that one little code for us in our variance and our hardship. So that's what we're asking you to do today. We're not asking you to go beyond what everything says. We're asking for a hardship. And that's why we're here. That's why I paid $300. And I will not lie to you one bit. If you tell me no today, it will not stop. I will not stop. I've got a big building, guys. I've got a concrete slab that they approved. I will do whatever I got to do to make this committee say yes for long. I assure you that. And I'll tell you this, if it comes down to see nothing, I'm out of Tamarack. I'm out of the city. I can't stay here. I put all my money and all my investments in this house and in this property. If I can't get what I bought it for, I'm out. And I put a lot of money in the city, guys, a lot of money. Tax money, a lot of money. And if I can't move forward with my property, why the hell am I here? I mean that. So y'all take it up however you want. Prove it, don't prove it, whatever you want, deny it. But that's why I stand. So y'all figure it out. I appreciate you.
I would like to clarify for the board next steps. If this permit is denied, the next step would be to appeal that to a district court. And then the district court makes a decision based on the information they hear. I have clarified with staff that there was a permit issued as a basketball court, as he mentioned. And you could cover unfortunately, you could cover your entire property with concrete. It's when you go vertical that it becomes a problem, so.
Okay, just a clarification, our job here is not to change the code. It is to prove there is a hardship. That's it. And you have to meet the hardship.
Chair,
Well, it doesn't change the code.
are y'all ready to make a motion to discuss this?
So 1C is to consider approving the request from Wesley Robinson for a variance of section 156.035.E.2.B, single-family detached residential district R6A, B, C, and D of the Gun Barrel City Revised Code of Ordinances, resulting in a 2,780 square foot accessory structure involving lot 137R of the Tamarack subdivision located at 109 Bayview, Gun Barrel City, Texas 75156. Get a motion.
I approve that we consider approving the request as read.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Are we going to vote and then Say why, like they suggested?
You're gonna say why when you vote,
Gotcha, okay.
what direction you're going and why. Any? So, any discussion?
So back to the 8 things you mentioned on the prior applicant, Marty. Were there any exceptions on this? Or any changes that would allow us to approve it?
In my opinion, no, because it's still the same thing on the local
Well,
government code.
that's what I'm getting back to.
Yeah,
is-
local government code says they can't prove, based on their criteria, that there's a hardship. I mean, I'd love to let Stoney build her, I'd love to let Larry do what he wants to do, but based on what I've been told, that this is my responsibility, I have to be able, huh?
Chair, the conversation with the audience is over. This is for the
Okay.
board to discuss.
So my understanding, Marty, is given what we learned earlier in the prior applicants, there is no way for us to approve this without violating the Texas.
Local government code.
Local government code.
Correct.
So there,
Based on the criteria for review, all of the criteria contained in the review process, the application should be denied. That's the way, based on the prior conversation and the prior application, which the approval process was overruled. In this case, the criteria for review, based on that criteria, the application should be denied.
or they should at least be informed that by doing the application and paying the fee, that it will not be approved.
Right,
Well, not that it won't be, that it does not meet the criteria.
right, exactly.
That's, yes, that's
So I
correct.
move that we,
We've got a motion already, and we got a motion and a second,
okay,
and so we're gonna vote, and when you vote, you tell, you,
To approve or disapprove, because this says consider approving. So are we making a motion to approve or a motion to not approve? I'm not clear on that.
it's motion approving the request,
Motion to approve the request. Okay.
based on what that is.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the request.
You gonna vote?
I'd move to decline based on the fact that it doesn't meet the criteria for approval.
Okay,
Nope. Coleman, no.
why?
I'm sorry, because of the 8 that we've been discussing. While I can feel
don't
my
have-
way,
I
I
mean, yes,
understand the way
yeah,
that
you don't have
we
to-
are required to vote.
Mullins, no, based on the Texas local government code.
Sikora, no, based on the Texas government code.
And the same here, Tracy, no, because of it is the state of Texas that passes us down, so no.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Tracy, second. Just close it down.
It was denied. I know him, and that's what makes it bad, is actually knowing